to make sure everything on the back end is set up to the extent that's possible. So I guess for starters, could you go over what you shared with me this morning, but just to make sure that Mark and Philippe are aware about the fact that the way we currently access the production site is actually through Blackboard. So I think Philippe, you and I were both thinking, oh, we just go to the production site,
Right.
you know, go to a link, log in,
yep.
and there's our stuff.
So
but that doesn't seem
I'm
to be
going
the case.
I'm going to show you my screen. So you should,
okay.
You should see, it should say past courses. Do you see that?
No. Yes. Mark, should I click? No. No. Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, let me. Do you see it now?
No.
It just went away.
It went away? Okay.
Yeah, we had it up until.
All right.
Okay, back.
Back? Okay. So what I was telling Catherine earlier is she was sharing with me that you were not able to log in to your production site. And the reason for that is because everyone, it looks like, and I can tell from the external IDs that everyone here has been externally authenticated, which means their account was created by launching the LTI link in Blackboard. So if you look at any of these user details, you'll see that the internal authentication box is not checked. So whenever it is not checked, you will not be able to just come to jhu.campusconcourse.com and log in because you are externally authenticated. So if you have a case where you or someone will need to have both an internal account and an external account, then my suggestion is to create a separate account. You'll have to have a separate external ID and a separate email address, and then that will have to be, this internal authentication box will have to be checked.
Can the admin create a user account? Because
Yes.
I was looking at it with Catherine. I mean, when we were in production, I was trying and I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm. So the way that an admin would create a user account would be with a feed. And we have sample feed files in our support center, but I can share, it's just a text file. And just put the person's name, email, external ID, and then a 1 in the external authentication column. And you can run that manually by going admin feeds, and then the first default feed type is user. So then you just look for your file and then process, and that is how you as an administrator would actually put people in the system. Or they can sign up on their own on the login page. They can sign up for an account.
Right. And then we can move them, if we are admins, we can move them to the admin column, right? Assign them, yeah. Am I an admin? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, am I?
You should be. Let me check. So one of the nice thing that we actually instituted recently is being able to look up a user by their system permissions. So we can look up anybody in your system that has admin permissions, and it looks like you don't. That just Catherine has those permissions right now. So I can do that for you now. So you're all
Yeah,
set.
I see it now. Okay, cool.
Also, this came up with a couple of schools recently, so I just wanted to bring this up, and I am recording this conversation so you can reference this. Whenever new domains are added, so I'm just going to go to your domain page. Whenever you add more departments or schools or campuses, you want to make sure once everything is added that you go back to your user account and update your domain permissions.
It's not. There's nothing automatic about it.
No, and that's for security reasons. So that, and there's really only should be a handful of people that need to have these specific domain permissions. So it would be people who are responsible for managing course templates, or people who are, system admins. So, not necessarily instructors or students, but just some people in specific roles with the implementation. So it is manual, and that is for permission and security reasons. But that is not done automatically ever. And I've answered a couple of emails this week regarding not being able to get into a template and edit it. And the reason was because that particular school updated their domains but did not update their domain permissions.
Okay.
And it happens so much, and by the way, I frequently forget about that too, but it happens so much that I had to actually update our article about domain permissions to add that in there.
Okay.
So just as a little piece of info there that you did not ask for, but
sure,
on topic.
That's good to know. Philippe, setting up the feed for the faculty names,
Right.
how long does that take, or would that take?
So,
How many are you adding?
Just the 5 that are
Oh.
participating in the pilot.
Oh, so you are essentially just waiting for me to send you that feed file?
Yeah.
I guess, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because as soon as I can get them all, there are a couple of faculty who, if at all possible, I'd love to get going today, as in like before I leave for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if we can go ahead and just get them set up in there. They're not basically going to do anything until I send them an email that says you're all done and proceed.
So let me show you actually, so you don't have to wait for me to send it to you. This is this article is called How Feed Processing Works in Concourse, and this article actually has attached example feed files, and one of those example files, way down here, is a user file. And so this is the header, and just copy and paste this into a Notepad and just a text file, and then you'll create their external ID, first name, last name, email, and then if you want them to be able to access the system internally, that means not going through Blackboard, but instead going to the URL and entering their username and a password, then you would put a 1 here. If you want them to be able to only go through Blackboard, then your adapter is set up to auto-create user accounts. So the first time that link is launched from their course, their account will be created.
What would be the most efficient thing for us to do today?
Well, if you want to get this, for the faculty who have the syllabi already created, that you've already created, and they're ready, is there a reason that they would not be able to go through Blackboard to access Concourse?
No, nope, not at all. My only concern would be if for some reason they clicked on it and it wasn't working and everyone's...
I can go in as and check it.
Okay. Okay.
You can just doing login as going as Sean and...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can...
Just do it that way?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That should work fine for now, just to have them set it up. Now, when they do go in, so I guess when it comes to permissions, though, right now, I don't want them to be able to edit anything that was linked to the institutional template, but they have the ability to edit anything else.
So you have your computer available? Can I give you the screen, the controls? Okay. So let's go through how to update those permissions. Hopefully you'll love this, because it made my life so much easier when they instituted this in the system.
Does it matter that I'm still only in the sandbox?
You can do, well, you could, let's do this in the sandbox, but then you'll also want to do it in the production system as well. But we can go through it because you'll want to do it in the sandbox anyway. Just to make sure.
It's like two separate permissions in a way.
Say that.
Permission. That's basically giving them access to both the sandbox and production. Well,
are you still wanting to set up the sandbox and have it re-cloned to production?
Yes, I still need to have it. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that Judge just sent me an update on the customizations. I don't think that he's cloned the sandbox yet. I think he's waiting for, let me see here, confirmation about whether or not the specifications are to your satisfaction. So for now, why don't we do the work in the sandbox, and then when it's cloned, it will be cloned over to production. Then you won't have to do it again.
Oh. Okay, so all of the stuff, all the content will be cloned, but not the permissions.
No, the permissions as well. Everything.
Oh, they will be?
Yep.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. So, all right, tell me what to do.
Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is go into your carry template.
Okay.
And for this one, since this is just one syllabus, I just recommend doing it on the syllabus. So if you go to Settings and in Group,
so students are already set up to only be able to view.
Okay. So
right,
that looks
that's
good.
how it should be.
Now, another thing that I just want to draw your attention to, where it says Manage Users and Settings Access, you're going to want to make sure that that is always no for anyone who isn't supposed to be allowed to add people or change settings, like request course settings, course titles, things like that. So make sure that always says no.
Okay.
Or you may have potential problems. So for instructors, so it looks like they can view and edit those particular items. Now, if you don't want them to be able to view and edit any of those things, then you should change that here.
Oh, I see. And I think that's because I hadn't created these other two items yet. So the course policy, I do want them to be able to edit it when they get down to the section level, which is all they're going to really be playing with at this point, the pilot. So should I just go ahead? It's safe, in other words, for me to put view only.
If you put view only, then what will happen is whenever this is cloned, those permissions will be cloned as well, and the instructors will only be able to view.
Okay.
So you can actually leave that to view and edit, and that will just ensure that the permissions are correct throughout the whole process.
Okay. As long as they never go into my institutional template.
Nope. Nope. So
which they would only get there if they had an actual link to it, though.
Okay, so
right?
I think I see what you're saying. So these permissions here are not the same as domain permissions. So the permission here, this is you saying, this is my syllabus, and this is what I want anybody else to be able to do with the syllabus. Now, instructors don't have permission to do anything with this particular syllabus because they don't have anything within those domain permissions that we talked about a few minutes ago.
Okay.
So all you're doing here is just saying what you need instructors to be able to do on their syllabi for each of these particular items.
Okay. So I can go ahead and save this. And then those of us who are in the room are basically the only people who need, all the rights.
As system admins, you will be able to do anything. The way that your permissions are set up, you have all of the possible system permissions and you have all the possible domain permissions. So it really doesn't matter what you group yourself as here, because as a system admin, you can do anything in the system.
Understood. Okay, great. So we basically just, do I need to now do the same thing, like if I go to, I'll just hit save just in case. If I go back to now, I do this at the statistical analysis section template. Do I need to go, will I need to go through this for each of the courses and set up?
So for this one, you will, since it's already been created, you'll want to go ahead and go to the instructor group. So this one, it looks like the default settings were already view and edit, default being what they were before you got here. But one thing that I want to mention is that while content flows from top level templates down, permissions don't. So what that means is if you create an institutional template, then you clone it, you create a course template, and then go back and change the permissions on the institutional template, those permissions will not, the permissions on the course template will not be affected. So,
which is why the institutional policy is showing as only view.
Right, because that's what you have set on your other syllabus. But if you were to change that on your institutional policies, or excuse me, on your carry template, if you were to change that, that change would not be reflected here. So you would have, since that is one of the things, even though this is linked, that is permissions do not flow down. So just FYI. But now that your institutional template is set up the way you want it to, when you create your course templates from that institutional template, you can go in one by one if you want and update the permissions like you're doing here, or you can create all of the courses, and then when everything is done, you can go into your system settings and actually update all of the permissions at once.
Okay. For the purposes of right now, since I'll only be creating 5 total course templates, I can just do it manually. If the institutional policy is a section that I don't, again, no one is actually going to be going in at the course level template for the purposes of pilot. So should I just put view edit for all of these for now?
If you put view edit for all of these, then when you actually create the section syllabus, then it will have the view edit permission for institutional policy on the section syllabus. So I would leave this as it is right now, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. All right. We already checked that students are only view. Okay. So that's how I need to make it look for all of the course level. And then we go to this section-specific one. I haven't actually set up like the external ID for this one or anything, so it's not actually linking anywhere yet. But here, this is the one that would actually show up in Blackboard. For students, it still says view. I'm really glad that that's the default setting. And then if I go to instructors, it's basically the same as before. Okay.
So another thing that I wanted to mention regarding syllabus view and integration is a couple of different ways that you can set how the students will actually see the syllabus and the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wouldn't mind, could you go to admin and then system, and then we want to go to integration endpoints. So right now you have this LTI consumer for your test adapter, and it's set to auto-create users, which is what you want. At some point, we could look into auto-creating courses as well, so that you would, essentially what that would do is when an instructor launches the link from Blackboard, it would create the section syllabus for that instructor.
Okay.
Initial launch.
Oh, I mean, I was thinking that would come mostly from the SIS, because
yep, you could do that as well. And so that would be done using feeds from the SIS. But if the information, and I can't remember I don't remember the transaction information from your LMS offhand, but if the required course information is embedded somewhere in any of the parameters of the information that is coming out of Blackboard through App Adapter, we can configure that adapter to actually create those courses, and you would not have to use feeds from your SIS.
Yeah, but then how do you? I guess the creation I see, but then how do you say that this new course fits into this type of? I mean, is under this template and that template and that template.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How does that work?
Yep. So essentially, what the adapter would be configured so that when the link is launched, there would be some logic built in, depending on the information coming through, that would clone a specific course template to create a section syllabus for that instructor with all of the proper permissions. So it's essentially doing the same thing that a feed would be doing, just through App Adapter.
Okay.
But but that's something down the road that we could explore.
Definitely. Yeah. Hey, I've been trying to use that upload for the users, and I always get the bad header.
Okay.
You can see at the feed log.
Let me pull that up. I have your. Are you loading that into the sandbox or production system?
Production.
Okay.
I'm just loading one guy, so.
Let me.
This I think is a guy.
Bad header.
No, must be a girl. Jansen.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
Oh. Well, that's. It looks like there's a lot of formatting in the header.
Oh, right. Because it's an RTF. Okay.
So try.
So it needs to be a plain text file,
TXT,
right?
Yeah. Are these the Well, I'm looking at. I can't. If you send me is it the faculty members, Catherine, that you sent me the information for yesterday? Are those the individuals that you're trying to load into the system?
Yeah, that would be who Philippe is trying to load in. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me try that again because I might be.
Okay.
So.
It's just anything bad happen if we have them loaded in already. and then they go access it through Blackboard. Like it doesn't cause any issues. Like,
No,
is
so
there anything, any way we can mess up their initial setup?
technically, yes. There's always a way.
Sure.
But the thing that I could see happening is not having the appropriate external ID associated with their user account and having them be internally authenticated while they're trying to externally authenticate through Blackboard. Those are the two things that I see come up a lot. So,
okay, so I was able to create her, and it's internal authentication, right?
yeah, so if what you're doing now is setting up their account so that they can come directly to the system, the URL, and log in with the username and password, then I would, yes, you want to make sure that they have internal authentication. I would caution you on the external ID and email, because eventually when you are going to want them to launch from Blackboard, Blackboard is going to be looking for that they're going to be looking for a unique email and a unique user ID. And if that person is already using it in Concourse, you're going to get an error.
Right.
So for the purposes of the pilot, Philippe, do you want to wait on loading them via the user feed and just let them go through Blackboard?
I mean, we can do that. So login as, right?
Exxon 8, I think.
Yeah, I have the.
you have it memorized.
I know more of them than I care.
Yeah, let's try that.
Why would you not want them to go through Blackboard?
Well, no, yeah, that's more just down the road. Like if a faculty wanted to be, make their annual edits to their standard syllabus, and it's not associated with any particular semester. I'm just trying to think. I wouldn't want them to have to go find a section of that course they recently taught, click on a syllabus link. Like it'd be nice if they had that direct link, but that's really for down the road. For the purposes of the pilot.
I think that right now,
we don't have to worry about it.
Okay, let me do login as to see
if you can pretend to be Xian for a second.
Yes.
Okay.
What's our username?
Oh.
Exxon 8. I think.
Yeah, Exxon 8. And I have. Yeah, it's not gonna work. I think I messed up the.
You're not really sure.
The external ID should not be that. It should be.
Do you want me to hook up to your computer?
No, that's fine.
Okay. For the purposes of recording, I didn't know if you wanted to see it.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
I think.
If you remember, that's good.
Okay, let's see.
Jamie, just on a different note real quick while Philippe is working on that.
Mm-hmm.
You said that Judd gave you an update about the customization that's pending. What? The specifications we requested?
Yep.
So it's just going through like some kind of QA right now?
Let me see what he wrote while we're waiting here.
Okay.
Okay. All right, it looks like there's some things that need to be discussed before we can put the changes in the sandbox. In the header, moving where the section is shown is problematic. Concourse allows for multiple sections to be associated with a common, quote-unquote, syllabus. That means the display for section is a comma-separated list of the form. In other words, based on the example, it would turn out to be like BU-210 .520.35, comma 38, comma 43, which I doubt they would want.
Huh, okay.
He says, now it may be that JHU only plans on one section per syllabus, but our code isn't set up to be adjusted in this manner.
Interesting.
Previously, it was asked that the domain be hidden from the syllabus header. Should we still do this? So that's
okay.
at the very top, the campus, school, department information.
This stuff.
Yep.
Is it hard to bring it back later if for some reason we wanted it? At this point we don't. I can't think of why we would need it.
Okay. No, it's basically they just hide it. So.
Okay. Yeah, if they can hide it, that's great.
Okay, so the third is, he says, I suggest we remove the items they're not using, meeting times, outcomes, with the exception of additional items. I strongly urge them to keep this catch-all item since it isn't clear what content instructors will want to add that isn't categorized otherwise.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay. And then 4, after deciding the 3 points above, the changes can be made live as of today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the service time that you have previously paid for is going to cover this. So it will not be an additional charge.
Is he also going to send me an email, or is that just what you need to communicate to me?
Yeah, he just wanted me to ask about those things before they
proceed.
Flip the switch, basically. Okay. So in terms of the domain at the top, you do want that hidden.
Yeah.
And you understand what the issue is with moving the section.
Yeah, we can revisit that later.
Okay, and then you're in agreement of keeping the additional item?
Yes, although it'll be hidden from students.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's not like that'll be hanging out there or anything like that.
If the instructors do not, if it's not on the syllabus, then if it hasn't been right. Yeah.
Okay. And did you say anything about the modified date?
Oh, he did not, but that is something. Yeah, she keeps not answering that, and that's just an oversight. So let me ask. Okay. I will ask him, but I don't believe that will be an issue. But I will ask him. He's online. He's online right now.
And I guess my last question regarding all that is that I thought of this is not a huge deal for the pilot. But down the road, I guess there's a way for me to test this, is whether when you put the logo in, does somebody, when the production puts it in, does it already have alt text?
That is a good question. Is this for accessibility purposes? I will find that out.
That doesn't have to be done today. That's just down the road. How's it going, Philippe?
I think I messed up.
Uh-oh. Okay.
No, that's okay, I think. I mean, I'm sure.
I'm actually... Let me see here. Let me just look for my user feed example. Okay, I'm gonna
the user feed, the user identifier, what is the difference between the user identifier and the internal user?
The user identifier is the external ID. So that is what you're using is the unique Hopkins ID.
Okay.
And the internal is referring to the authentication. So whether it's internal just through Concourse.
Oh, 0 or
external.
1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I created a bad internal ID, but I can change the name and everything, or we can delete it. But I don't think I know how to do that. So.
Okay, let me. So you ran another feed. Let me look at the.
Yeah, and I created the wrong internal ID.
Oh. Actually, I don't. Let me see.
I'm going to switch over to Philippe's computer for a sec.
Oh, well, yeah,
You can use that?
See that. Okay. So you guys can see it.
Oh, so you can't see what we're seeing, but...
I can. I guess I should...
So...
Or are you not within the meeting?
I actually... Let me show you what I'm looking at on my computer.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Go back. That's information. Yeah, it's better that way.
So you should see my...
Right.
Okay. So this would be the one that you just...
Yeah, that's the bad one. Right.
But so this person... Their external, I mean, it went through, it was successful. So this is their external ID. It says that they're internally authenticated.
Right, but the external ID is not what you're looking at, are you?
I'm looking at whatever happened to this person's account as a result of the feed. So.
Yeah, I mean, I switched the external ID because I guess when you create the user identifier, you also copy it to be external ID, right?
Yes. But this external ID here looks like what you have for internal user.
Right.
And that looks like the Hopkins ID format.
Right. But when I tried to log in as her, it didn't work.
And what did you... How did you log in with the email address and password?
Yeah, through Blackboard as I'm.
Oh, right.
I'm coming as her. I mean, I'm logged in Blackboard with her credentials, kind of.
And it will not work through Blackboard with this person because they're internally authenticated. Here.
Okay.
So that they will need to be. That box will need to be unchecked in order for this person to work.
So I can do that. I'm checking it.
Okay.
And now I'm going to go back to Blackboard and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, cool. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm logged in as her, and I can. Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be easy for me to create those accounts.
So and so the reason you're creating the accounts is, I mean, as soon as these individuals launch that link the first time from Blackboard, their accounts will be created. So
automatically.
Yeah. So the way that you have the adapter set up, and I can show you here.
Is Bonnie in there? We can just log in as Bonnie off that thing.
You have it set up to auto-create users. So
right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. So actually, you don't even need to run a feed if you want them to all be externally authenticated. So you actually already did all the work already.
So that comes back to me, and if I'm, let's see.
But okay. But then we need to assign the faculty to a group of like to instructors, so they have access to the right. I mean, they can modify the right thing they can, right?
Yep. So
yeah, do we need to how do we associate them as instructors?
So let me show you. Oops, I have to. And this is, there we go. All right. So I'm looking at your Blackboard adapter. And you actually have the adapter set up with user information and course information. And
Right.
you have the LTI consumer set up for user information and course information. So when that person launches as an instructor in Blackboard, that link should take them to the course syllabus in Concourse for whichever course they launched from.
Right.
And then they will have whatever the instructor permissions are for that course.
But how do they know that it's how do you know that it's a instructor or not?
Well, the settings within Blackboard and the way that we have mapped everything with our adapter, that is how the way the systems communicate through that middleware tool.
Right.
So that is how the system knows whether or not they're an instructor or student from however they're launching in Blackboard.
It maps their roles in Blackboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What if they're a teaching assistant? How does that read? We have a lot of people who go on courses.
That's something that I would suggest testing, because that's an excellent question. My guess is that if depending on what their roles, what their permissions are, or how their role is set up in Blackboard, there might be there's a specific way that it would map. We use the LTI standard for roles, groups, naming conventions, if you will. So for your teaching assistants, I would highly recommend just having them putting that link in their course with their whatever permissions they normally have, launching it and seeing what happens.
I'm going to do that right now.
Although, for the purposes of the pilot, the teaching assistants should only need to be able to view it. At this point, no one other than the faculty really needs to have editing.
Which course is it?
Which one are you looking for, Xian?
Yeah.
That's 210, 620, 35.
210, 620, 35. Okay. So I'm logged in as George Abba, who's a teaching assistant.
He's no longer here.
Huh?
He's no longer here.
Uh-huh.
I know.
Should it still work?
The house should still work, in theory.
So it looks like you can view, edit, and import.
Okay. What does import really mean?
So what that means, do you see edit, view, edit, and import for your teaching assistants?
Yeah.
Okay, so your teaching assistants are coming over as instructors. So they'll be able to edit the syllabus. I don't know how much of a problem that is for you, if at all. But to answer your question about import, the import function is actually something really cool. You can essentially import content from a previous semester's syllabus or another syllabus that you're working on into the current syllabus.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's right. I think you mentioned that once before.
Yeah. And the person importing can only import items which they have permission to edit.
Right. Okay. I know we're running up on time with Floyd needing to leave at 1. Huh?
I said, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your doctor's appointment. So as far as next steps and what's possible to get done today, sounds like we're all set with faculty and student permissions set. Faculty being able to access, that'll automatically create their account when they log in through Blackboard. I will think about the teaching assistant issues separately. I don't think any of our teaching assistants would go in and start editing it, but I might at least mention it to the faculty so that we don't have any teaching assistants inadvertently going in and editing syllabus content, or see if later we can discuss whether it's even possible to change permissions.
There is a workaround for that as well.
Okay.
So you can actually on each syllabus. Let me go here.
Oh.
I'll just pick the first one.
Which one is Bonnie's?
510 601.
60136.
Yes.
So you can actually register individuals for each particular syllabus. So what you could do is, if you wanted to, register your teaching assistants for
George Abba would be one
particular syllabus, and then they would only have the permission for the group that they're registered for. So it looks like assistants are view and edit everything, which is the default. So what you may want to do is on your templates, change the permissions for assistants to be just view.
Yeah.
And then when that person's email and external ID are matched up via the integration, Concourse will know that that person should only be able to view.
Okay, I'll just do it that way. That's great.
You haven't assigned anything to Bonnie, right?
No.
The course is not there. That's
because
why.
she hasn't.
Okay, because I just logged in as Bonnie and it created Bonnie just fine, but it cannot find the course. So.
Right. So because Bonnie's section's syllabus right now is currently in the sandbox and hasn't been pushed to the production site yet.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so, I need to get going. So, you will have to just log in once it's all set up.
Okay. They have to log in.
Yeah, just to make sure that that they can get to their course. But
do I have to do it in each course or each section, or just once, and then just after that? Like Bonnie's got 2 sections,
right,
and Yuval has 2 sections.
Right.
Ning has 3. Yeah. Did you hear that question?
Ning has 3.
Jamie, do they just need to go in through one section in order to confirm that it's working, or should we test all of their sections?
Nope. They can just go in through one section, and then they'll have the account. And the other thing that I'll mention with that is for instructors that have multiple sections, they can access Concourse through one of those links. I assume that each course will have its own link, its own LTI link. But once an instructor is in your system, they will be in the system. So all they would have to do to edit their other syllabi is just go to their dashboard instead of going back into Blackboard and going into the course and watching again.
Okay.
So
one last thing that I would, unless Philippe has any other questions. Do you have any other questions, actually?
No, I think I wait, because, of course, Bonnie has not been created, so, yeah, I cannot see. Okay, yeah, well, but at least we confirm that it's very easy to create, and as long as you know how to create those in,
so on my end, if we could switch back to my screen real quick, I would at least want to have Mark witness this. So let's pretend that this is the production site. I have this section-specific syllabus for Bonnie here. So to ensure that this appears in the relevant Blackboard site for 510.601 section 35, so that would be here. I would need to go into course settings and then required information, and put the external ID here, which would essentially be this number. I think that's what we did, looking at how this is autofilling. Looks like that's what we did for 35. Nope. Philippe, this is what we were using for external IDs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if I save that, now it's in the sandbox, so we won't be able to test it right now. But that's all I would need to do at this stage to make it actually appear from Blackboard, or make it linked to Blackboard appropriately. Is that right, Jamie?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And when I create, so for Bonnie, she has more than one section. So the way that I would take this existing class, and let me see how she set up her. Looks like this is just section 35. Do you say, Martha, she has two sections, section 35 and section 36? Actually, I have it right here.
She should. The only classes that have one section and one, so no, she has two, except for Ning has three.
So her other section is 36. Okay. Where's my other stick? Okay. So when I create, I know the other day, Jamie, I asked you about cloning.
Mm-hmm.
So this syllabus is going to be identical in content for section 35 and 36.
Mm-hmm.
So all I would need to change is, well, I would need to clone it, I guess, right?
So absolutely nothing is changing on this syllabus?
Other than this here, this number.
Okay.
That will not be the case down the road with our, that's not always the case, but with our online syllabi, because they're asynchronous, we're able to reuse basically the exact same syllabus for multiple sections.
Okay, so a couple of questions. In Blackboard, when instructors are teaching multiple sections of the same course, are they able to merge or cross-list their Blackboard course sites so that they only have to manage one site for all sections?
No.
No? Okay. So then we'll want separate syllabi for each one then.
Okay.
So,
that follows, I mean, our existing process anyway. So in light of that, short of copy-pasting all of this into a new cloned syllabus, is there a shortcut?
Yep. So if you go back to your dashboard and go to Create and then Clone, and then we're going to look for that course.
Okay, so I can clone the section?
Yep. And then what you're going to do is if everything stays the same, you can see where it says sections and create new. You can put section 36 and then that external ID.
Wait. Oh, create new. 36, and then put in the, like so.
And then it'll make you select a group, so you can just put instructors. Now, eventually, this will be done either by the auto course creator or by feeds, so you won't need to worry about it. But for now, this is probably the easiest way to do this.
Great. Okay.
So now,
now that I've done that, I'm probably now that I've cloned it, I'm sure I'll find plenty of typos that I have to edit in both.
Well, if you do, you can edit in one and import that content into the other one.
Okay.
Now, when she launches from the course site that is that this syllabus is for, it should take her to this syllabus, section 36.
Right. Okay.
And in the future, when you're actually using feeds or your auto creating courses, we should talk about the best way to actually, make sure that the information is cloned so that the instructor has as little to do as possible, or as much or as little as you want them to do.
I'm going. Thanks, Jenny.
Oh,
have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Great talking to you.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Yeah, down the road, the goal will be to have them do as little as possible, for sure. Okay, great. So all I have to do is create these syllabi. Yay. Although I'm getting slightly faster at it. I probably overshared during the training when I was like, sometimes it takes a while to figure out which buttons go.
I thought it was good. It was good information to have.
Because it took me a while to figure out, like, how do I get to office hours? Because it wasn't always horizontally aligned perfectly or something like that. Anyway, and they'll figure that out. These are the faculty we had on there. I mean, I think by the virtue of the fact that none of them had any frightening questions to ask was a very good sign.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more questions.
I definitely gauge how well the presentation is going by which questions are asked and how many.
Yeah.
I do it.
And the faculty who was asking about, let's please confirm, the student view. She's definitely, all of these faculty have been kind of pioneering faculty for us because they have all been some of our earliest online faculty, and each has encountered their own mishaps along the way related to technology malfunctioning. So I think that's why she was like, can we please make sure the student view is correct? And in fact, I know that you provided the link to me at one point in an email for, I forget what it's called. It's not the sandbox, but the other thing you can play around with.
Training system?
The training system. You don't happen to remember the basic URL for that, do you?
Yep. It's just training.campusconcourse.com.
Wow, that's easy.
Now remember, for here, the email is over here on the left, the admin, manager, developer, instructor, assistant, student. You log in as one of the various roles, and that is what you put for the email and the password.
Oh, okay. And then is it always change me?
Nope, it's student, or admin, manager.
Oh, like as it says right in the instructions. Okay. Got it.
You're not the only person to not notice that.
Where's the password? You're trying to make it so simple for us. Okay, so the instructional syllabus, is there any difference between E and Z as far, are these both basically section-specific syllabi that would be within an LMS?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So if I click here, what is CV? No user CVs were selected for display. I don't think I remember this one.
This is a feature that mostly our clients, to be honest, in Texas use this feature because of some mandatory legislation regarding everyone needing to have access to faculty credentials.
Okay.
But so this is an extra feature within Concourse where faculty can basically upload credential information. But there doesn't seem to be anything for this particular person. This big person.
And and we won't have this because that's not one of our right. So they'll only see syllabus and what else?
Your instructors or students?
Our students, yeah.
Okay. So your students will only see what they have permission to see. So if you gave them, if you're using files, which it doesn't look like you are, but if you,
No.
okay, so
No.
what I would recommend then is within the group permissions to make it so the students can neither view nor edit files. And then that will go away, that tab. Oh, so
I can't do it that way, can I?
nope. So what you want to do is actually go to admin. We'll do this, and system, and then it's the top one, I believe. Update permissions en masse. So here you're going to search for whichever syllabi you want to change, and I would just hit the search button, and we'll just change the permissions to reflect this on all of the syllabi.
Okay, right, because permissions don't go all the way around. Okay.
That's right. So if you select all results at the bottom, so select students, so, the checkbox by students up there. And you have to select the set box before it will allow you to select any of the radio buttons. So
yeah, okay.
So we want to make sure that that is none. And then save.
Okay. Great. Okay, so that resolves that issue. Yes. And will that, now that I've set them here, when this gets pushed over to production, that setting will save and apply to all future syllabi that are created? Okay. All right. And so you said for us it'll be just syllabus or files, and we just removed files, so it really will just be syllabus.
Yep, and I think info also is a tab that students will see, but they won't see CV, and now they won't be able to see files.
Okay. Ooh, this is a good question. Will they see this if we remove it from the top of the syllabus?
I don't think so, because this is just the course information, but I will find that out from Judd.
Yeah. Okay. And all of this other information, like audit status, I don't know audit status, I forget what it means, but if I were a student, I'm trying to think of if they clicked on this page, what they might have questions about.
So if you go, actually you are in the training system, never mind. Let me ask, because technically...
That doesn't seem like student info.
No, it's just syllabus info.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't seem like information that a student would need to see.
Right. It's just the information on the syllabus. Accessibility. Oh, Judd said yes, the logo does have alt text.
Great.
Okay. The other thing that we could do is, well, I guess a couple of things. You could provide...
Can't hide this page, can we?
You can, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So
I don't see any benefit to it.
Okay, so you can hide a lot of things, basically.
Okay.
Within the LTI consumer information, you can select which headers and footer information you want to be viewable. So if you, for instance, and this is something that I think would be worth trying just to see if it looks the way you want it to look. We can set up the adapters so that the students don't even actually realize that they're being taken to an external system. The syllabus can just open in Blackboard.
That is actually what I always thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the faculty caught me on it today during the training. They were like, so it's going to open in a new page? And I was like, actually, I thought it wasn't, but right now it is.
Yep.
Yeah, if it could open within Blackboard, that'd be awesome.
That's a setting within the Blackboard LTI, external LTI tools.
Okay.
So that is something, if I remember correctly, I know in D2L that's the case. And what we may want to do, and I'm not sure how I assume that there's just one master Blackboard course that's copied for everyone and pushed out to everyone. And then,
yeah,
okay.
Yes. I think that there's possibly two, one for on-site, one for online.
Okay. So what we may want to do is kind of play around with the adapters, because we can actually hide all of that information at the top of the syllabus so that it just looks like a document.
Yeah, that would definitely be my preference. I mean, as long as they still have the ability to download it as a PDF and print.
They would have the ability to do whatever they'd normally be able to do in Blackboard with
like
anything uploaded.
This, for example, like I'm trying to figure out if I'm a student looking at this, I don't know how to make it a PDF.
So if you go to syllabus print, and this is also something that's not intuitive, mostly because these were not meant to be printed, so to speak. But if you go to change the destination.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's an option to save as PDF, and yes, and in Chrome. Now in Internet Explorer, I think it's print to file. I think in Firefox it might be print to file, and then it would save it as a PDF. They would have to name the file and where they wanted to save it. But yeah, so when you hit save, it will prompt you to. Also, it's landscape right now. That's kind of weird. But when you hit save, it'll prompt you to, tell it where to save.
Okay, yeah, that's something that I think is a great question. I don't know that a lot of our students do that, but every now and then we do get students who are, for lack of a better description, more old school, and even if they're taking an online course, they want a hard copy syllabus. So just knowing how to do it is good.
So Judd explained that they can hide the modified date in the header, but it will be viewable everywhere else, like in that info page. But if we can set up the syllabus to be opened, to be embedded within Blackboard, they wouldn't see that anyway.
Now, would it be Philippe who would have to set up the LTI? And he's now gone for the day. Okay.
But I mean that is something that is very easy to do. I believe it's just a matter of checking a box. But I'm not as familiar with Blackboard as I am with other learning management systems. I mean the inner workings beyond what we use for App Adapter. But I think go ahead.
After we have all the way till next Tuesday now until I probably see Philippe again. If we have some, syllabi go live, the course sites go live, et cetera, to students this weekend, is that something we can change next week without disrupting anything, other than perhaps students going, wow, it looks different now?
So are you asking about the being embedded in Blackboard?
Yes.
That being changed? Yeah. Yeah, we can. Okay. That can change anytime.
Okay. I'll ask Mark if I'm not sure Mark has as many permissions, administrative rights as Philippe, but he does have quite a few, so I'll see if he happens to know anything about it.
Okay.
If not, we'll just leave it for now. Okay, so I guess from here, so I have plenty of work to do in the meantime, just getting the rest of this syllabi created.
Mm-hmm.
As far as where I should be working right now, because as it is, my most recent template that I would be creating the courses from is still in Sandbox. So until I hear that everything's been pushed to production, or if I need to like cease and desist for a moment while it gets pushed to production, I don't want to lose anything, of course. How would that go about? Who would let me know, like, it's being done now, so hold off for 15 minutes?
That would be me.
Okay.
But they're not going to do that until, and I'm actually trying to get Judd to answer me regarding whether or not the change. I just told him that you were okay with what we talked about in his email. So it sounds like they're pushing the changes out to the Sandbox, and once we get the confirmation from you that everything looks the way you want it to look, then they will. Then I will have them clone the Sandbox to production.
Okay.
And I will let you know.
Sorry?
I will let you know when that's about to happen so that you can stop working in the Sandbox.
Okay. How long do you think I'll have to, or how long does it normally take?
I would say once they start doing it's like a half hour tops.
Okay.
I've never taken longer than that.
Okay. So I can keep working in the meantime. At this point, is Judd giving any idea of when the updated headings will be pushed out or ready to view? He
has asked me if you agreed with everything, so I believe need to review it. He says, I'm going to update their Sandbox shortly.
Okay.
So he said soon they will be. So once I get that info from him, then I will let you know.
Okay.
It's whole chain. But once I
got it,
then you can go in and then just shoot me back an email saying yay or nay, or hey, I told you to do this and you didn't do it, or whatever.
Okay.
And at that point, I will have them cloned.
Got it.
So if I get the email from you saying everything looks great, then I would suggest at that point that you stop working in the Sandbox, because as soon as I get that, I'm going to request that the clone be done.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Great. So as far as I'll be just probably here all day until I have these syllabi done, or as many of them as I can. I think there's, like I said, at least one course that mercifully doesn't need to be done till Monday because of other things that are going on with that course. I know that I'm not your only client, but if I have questions later this afternoon or, heaven forbid, over the weekend, what's the best way to reach you?
You can call my cell or you can shoot me an email.
Okay.
Either way is fine.
I wasn't sure if calling the cell phone was like the kiss of death or...
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, that's how you should get a hold of me.
Okay. Do you use that as your work phone, or is it also your personal phone?
I don't really, nobody really wants to ever call me, so I never...
It's worked out.
About it, yeah.
Okay.
Usually when I talk to clients, I do it using GoToMeeting so that I can, record the conversation and...
right, that's true. You're not hogging it for all those meetings, I guess.
But you should feel free to call if you need to. I also get email notifications on my phone, so I can...
Great.
And also if you ever use GChat, I have a couple of clients that GChat with me.
Okay.
If you have questions, so you can feel free to do that too.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for your time. It was really, really helpful. Having both calls today, and I'm thrilled it worked out that the faculty were all able to meet at one time, so we could use this time to go over everything else.
Yep.
So I'll be very excited to see if I can't get a couple faculty actually in Concourse before I go to bed tonight. So
Well,
you could hear a couple of them. So what's your timeline?
That's great. That is music to my ears, actually, because that tells me that they are open to using it. So
yeah,
that's good.
Right. Yeah. No one said that's it. I'm opting out. So
also good.
Right.
So I will,
as long as I give them the information. So
I will upload these recordings, and then I will send you the information so that you can access them and use them for whatever you need to use them for.
great.
I'll do that today. I have an appointment I need to get to now, but I will I'll start them processing, and then when I get back, they'll be done. So.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much for your time, Jamie, and good luck with the rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Talk
thanks. Bye-bye.